Welcome to Sikhcast, brought to you by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Jasleen Kaur, and I'm a trans creator on the Guru Granth Sahib project. We're excited to announce the release of 4 compositions under the birth and naming ceremonies. So these are compositions that we're all familiar with, that we sing quite often, and that hold a special place in our collective Sikh psyche. For that reason, I thought I would talk about a shabad that we are all probably familiar with and sort of take you through what's shifted in my understanding. So I'm going to be talking about Puta Mata Ki Asis, which is set in a rag or musical mode that is used to evoke a sort of compassionate and thoughtful sense of mortality and awareness of our own temporariness. So there is this delivering of a message of what it is we ought to be doing with our lives, given awareness of our own deaths. Historically, this composition is also related to the day on which the Guruship was received, and Mata Bani was giving this blessing to her son, to Guru Arjan Sahib. So in the Raha line, the Guru identifies with the voice of the mother and says, "O child, this is the blessing of your mother. May you never forget the all-pervasive, the fear eliminator, the remover of suffering, even for an instant. May you always remember the owner of the world." So here the mother being invoked can be understood both as the worldly mother and also as the kind of abstract, quote-unquote, mother of the world. We can understand the Guru identifying as the mother in this composition. And so then the question is why? Why invoke the mother? And I think the thing that we've talked about on the team is that this is the most intimate physical relationship that we have. This is sort of the world in which we live before this world comes. We live within the mother nurtures us, contains us, and brings us here, and also is the one who brings us our closest connection with IkOankar. So that's all true, and I think something that's really important is that even this one who has provided so much for us and continues to, knows that they cannot give us remembrance, and so they can only hope for it for us. So yes, the hope is that we do not forget IkOankar. The hope is that we, through this remembrance of the divine of the world, the owner of the world, we see no pains. And so I think what I really wanted to talk about is the last couple of images that the Guru offers us to kind of bring our understanding home. And so the Guru invokes nature and says, "Make this mind of yours a bumblebee," which might be a familiar sort of line to a lot of us. "May the feet of the one light be the lotus flower." So the wish is for us to be attached to those quote-unquote feet, to encircle them, to be attached to them, to be covered by them, which is the thing that I didn't really think about previously. So when a bumblebee enters a lotus flower and drinks its pollen, it is actually because of the sort of shape and size of the lotus flower's petals, it is covered by those petals and left sort of undisturbed by external influences. So the flower actually becomes a source of, yes, sweetness and satiation, but also a source of shelter. And so this is what the sanctuary of the one also gives us, right? We come to the sanctuary in humility and submission and devotion, which is what kind of the feet imply when they're invoked. But also, once we arrive in that sanctuary, we are satiated, our thirst is quenched, however you want to sort of say it. But also we are protected from the things that maybe we were subject to outside of the sanctuary, the pains of the world, the things in the world that sort of take us every which way. So yeah, there's a new layer of understanding there that I've been thinking a lot about the way that those petals cover us. And also the Guru invokes the pied cuckoo, saying that the devotee remains attached to those lotus feet and blooms just as a pied cuckoo blooms with a drop of rain. And so this pied cuckoo is said to wait for a particular raindrop in order to experience satiation. And the important thing is that in that waiting and in that longing, there is great patience and even a kind of rejoicing. And so I think what's important about this composition that I just never thought of, because I've heard it so much growing up, is not just that there's all these hopes or wishes or blessings for us in every stanza. It's also that every stanza offers concrete guidance on the efforts that we ought to make in order to experience that blessing come to fruition. And so the question is, are we reflecting on what's inspiring us and motivating us? Are we reflecting on our life's purpose? Are we seeking love and connection? Are we seeking to become humble enough to approach the sanctuary? Are we seeking to become full of remembrance instead of forgetfulness? Have we made our minds bumblebee? Like, are we circling and circling and circling, patiently waiting for those petals to open to us? Are we clinging to IkOankar the way that a child clings to their parents' legs? And have we made an effort toward cultivating that kind of unconditional devotion? And I think for me, the thing that I'm also thinking about is, like, will I make this effort as long as it takes? Will I even rejoice in making that effort? I think is the kicker. So yeah, I invite you to sort of spend time with the translations and transcriptions on these compositions, to spend time with the commentaries, and really see like what new things you can glean from shabads that might be pretty familiar to you in some way. See what sort of new layers you find. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Read the translations and commentaries at gurugranthsahib.io.
You are listening to Sikhcast by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.